You can rip everything away from a man, but if he's still holding and standing strong in his integrity, you can't take that from him.
Can't take that.
Talk about Bernie the man
Yes.
and the politician.
Yes, I can, very proudly and very happily, because Bernie the man started his career in politics way back in the 1970s, like 40 years ago. And he ran for the mayorship of Burlington, Vermont. He ran 7 times and lost because he refused money from developers, rich people, and corporations. He relied on donors and volunteers mostly. And he ended up the 8th time, and he won by 10 votes.
Call that chutzpah.
Yeah, there you go. I love that good old Yiddish word. And so he won by 10 votes, became mayor, and immediately he carried out his promise. His major platform when he ran for mayor was to take the private utility, which was gouging the people with high rates, more and more rates, the utility company in gas and electric. He said, I'm going to buy this out by the government of Burlington. We're going to buy it out with taxpayers' money, and we're going to reduce everyone's rate by making it nonprofit and public.
There's no way it worked.
And he did it. It worked beautifully. And because of that, he won so much credibility, and as a man of integrity, carried out his promise, and then went on to run for Congress later on, and then the U.S. Senate. And he won each time because people saw this man was real. He was with them. He carried out his promise, or tried very hard to. And when he worked on the Veterans Affairs Committee, he was able to work with Republicans and others to get at least a portion of what he thought was the right thing to do, because they wouldn't give him everything. Right. But it showed he can actually work with those who have different views and stick to his integrity and his principles. And one thing about Bernie, he didn't get rich off of politics. Like,
Still flying coach, right?
he's flying coach in the middle seat.
And people want the middle-class American they can have a beer with. That's your dude.
There you go. The middle seat, the middle class.
Yeah.
And you know something else about Bernie? He is only worth about $400,000 total, which is less than what most middle class people or upper middle class people are worth. He could have been worth millions. He and his wife, Jane, are worth pretty much what they own in their home. They had several children and grandchildren to put through college, and Bernie worked as a carpenter at one time, by the way. Amazing. And this man is on the ground. He's grounded, he's got integrity, he will not sell out, he has never sold out before, he will not sell out in the future. That's why he can stand with pride and say, I'm going to stop all these unjust wars, bring the money back into social programs that people can use, free universal tuition, free education, so that people can have a chance to develop their full potential in America, everyone, no matter what color you are, what class you're from. Universal health care, because health care is a human right, not a privilege, that without that we don't have the right to life. The right to life, which is part of the basic human rights in our declaration, is based on the right to health care. Without good health care, you can't have a good life, because we're all going to get sick sometime, and need that kind of care. And so Bernie has touched on the most important issues, education and health care, as the guarantees that his social democracy, or as he calls it, democratic socialism, will be bringing in.
A Jewish socialist carpenter. Sounds like someone I've learned about.
Exactly. Too bad his initials are not JC, but that's okay. BS is good enough.
What would BS do? In terms of, and then before that, obviously, I mean, I grew up, my father in England was an activist against the anti-disarmament movement, and so I grew up, listening to Pete Seeger and Bob Dylan, and in that activist movement, and seeing these pictures of him in the media, once again, trying to have him chained to a black woman during the Civil Rights movement, him getting arrested, him on the front lines. This isn't a guy who's sitting back, he's walking the talk every single...
On the march with Dr. King in 1963 on Washington. He was there. But he did not trumpet his own personal involvement in those things at the beginning of his campaign. Because Bernie is a humble warrior who believes in these principles and issues and getting them done for other people. Right. He doesn't talk about how great he is by being someone who fought discrimination, got arrested for it. Right. But you see, in American politics, unfortunately, it's been so personalized. It's based on personality to some extent, unfortunately, not so much issue-oriented. If someone was advising him, but you can't get Bernie to change, and we shouldn't try, they would have told him, talk about your personal life first. And then also about these top issues. And I'm telling you, that could have made a difference. At least some other people are doing it for him right now. We need to do that. Let people know this is the real thing. Bernie Sanders is the real thing. He is the man who believes and walks his talk. That's the key right there. And he's been doing it for how many years now? He's 74 years old, most of his life. So it's very inspiring to us to see someone like him. It's a once-in-a-lifetime candidate, in my view.
But in terms of how is he different? How is he completely different than the average politician, especially the ones running now? And if he's not elected, what will occur?
First of all, he's very different. First of all, he refuses to accept money from corporate lobbyists and political action committees. And he's done something else. He's made history. He's been the first candidate to raise $142 million in a few months.
right?
Unbelievable, $40 million in 1 month from small donors. The average donor is $27. The people. He's the people's candidate. And that's why you can really bring in a people's democracy, one that will serve regular folks. By the people, of the people, and for the people, as Lincoln said, will become more of a reality because someone like Bernie, who's not bought by the corporations, but is basically serving and can serve the people because they're sponsoring him.
But he's a socialist. What's going to happen to our country?
It's going to become more democratic. Small d, meaning the people will rule under that kind of social democracy and will have their economic benefits restored and their economic rights restored. He's different than people like Hillary Clinton or certainly Ted Cruz or Donald Trump. Trump claims to not be bought because he's a billionaire, he can fund his own campaign. I'd like to ask him.
For fraud.
He ended up buying other politicians. He was just as bad a part of the system. And he said he gave Hillary Clinton money for her campaign and other people. And they asked him, what did she give you back? Oh, she came to my wedding. Yeah, exactly. That was nonsense. She must have gotten a lot of other favors from her instead. So Trump is not the solution with this billionaire. Bernie says, I would say he's the solution because he takes money only from the regular folks and he'll serve us. And that means bringing in those things and creating jobs. Don't forget that part. Bernie is into investing in education and creating new jobs by new technologies and bringing in like universal health care, but also public transportation. He wants to rebuild our infrastructure. We got to have the infrastructure. It's falling apart. The American Society of Civil Engineers says we need $2.2 trillion to invest in infrastructure to rebuild and bring back our water supply safety, to bring back our sewage supplies and lines, to bring back all these things, schools and roads that are falling apart.
Just cut one more, there we go.
That would do it, wouldn't it? Or shift some of that defense budget, which, by the way, is about $610 billion base defense budget. It is equal to all the next 7 countries put together and more than China, which is the number 2 country, 3 times as much, several times as much as Russia. We're spending and squandering over $600 billion on defense. You could cut that budget by 1/3, take that money and put it into education, investment, technology, the environmental cleanup, and Bernie is right there with all those.
And we're not even talking the human costs of lost lives and infrastructure and communities. So finally, what would you, because I want to reach out to the millennials and the young people who are obviously gathering out in crazy numbers to support Bernie for many of the issues we described. What would you tell them to empower them about this election and their future?
I would say to them they need to get completely involved, as they already are, and we love that they're doing that, but they should not give up. And this is just the beginning and a first step. We still have to get them, the young people and others like them who are progressive, to bring in a new Congress, to bring in a new legislature at the local levels. They have to vote in those districts and just completely keep voting, but not just vote, but go out there and not be afraid to demonstrate, to protest peacefully, to agitate, to educate the public, and to demand from these politicians that they serve us. You see, there's a great saying by Frederick Douglass, the great American abolitionist and leader. You know, Frederick Douglass said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. Power concedes nothing without a demand." So the young people and those who are allies with them, including myself, we have to demand from these leaders that they start serving us. They should give up their corporate money and run on a grassroots basis as a campaign, as Bernie has done at every level of office. From City Council of Long Beach all the way through U.S. House of Representatives, U.S. Senators, they should be running grassroots. They should be engaging in debates, going door to door, getting volunteers, and accepting small amounts of donations until we can reform the system and bring in clean money. And the young generation, millennials, can put us over the top. And Bernie's going to take us far, far further than President Obama. Obama started some good things. He went part of the way. Bernie is going to go the rest of the way and bring the real revolution, the political revolution that young people will lead. That's what I say, my friend. Thank you. It's great to be here. My pleasure, man.
All right.
Great work you guys are all doing.